Ohio sports car course.
Welcome live to Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. The Champ Car World Series wrapping up its midsummer swing north of the border. A championship within a championship. The chase for the unique Stone Trophy honoring the team that captures Champ Car's Canadian Triple Crown. The first leg of the series was in Quebec. Rainy conditions turned Mont Tremblant into a struggle against the elements. Robert Dornbos emerged as the race winner. Team Australia took the lead in the Triple Crown. A week later in Toronto, weather again the wild card. A race filled with close calls and violent action was captured by Will Power. His victory enabled Team Australia to widen their lead in the Triple Crown. Today at Edmonton, they'll be looking to lock up this inaugural team championship.
Definitely Team Australia has enjoyed their trip to the frozen north. In Montreal and Toronto, both Will Power and Simon Pagenaud averaged third-place finishes. That's why they're leading in the Triple Crown points. What will have to happen for them not to win the Triple Crown? Well, essentially, both drivers will have to finish outside the top 8 today. And based on their qualifying performances this weekend, I'd say that's highly unlikely. And now with more on that story, let's go to a gentleman joining us on our ESPN coverage here in the pits today. It's Rick DeBrule.
Well, let's talk about second place in the championship. It's the R Sport team. They come into Edmonton knowing that they not only need to do well, they need some Aussie misfortune to pull this off. Their average finish so far has been 6th, which means they need those Aussies, as Bill just mentioned, not to have a good finish. As for Justin Wilson, well, he makes it very clear. He simply wants to win the race, and all those championships take care of themselves. But don't forget, his teammate is a Canadian, Alex Tagliani, and he wants to bring that Canadian trophy home and keep it here in Canada. Now let's go to the third member of our pit crew broadcast team, Michelle Beisner.
Canadian Triple Crown coming to a close. The Newman-Haas-Lanigan team find themselves sitting in a distant third, uncharacteristic for somebody and a team that's used to being ahead. Now, more specifically, though, Sebastian Bourdais, not since 2005, has trailed in the overall points, and he finds himself sitting third as well. When I asked him about it, he said, you know what, it's okay that the race is this close. I enjoy it, it's good for the fans, and I'm not worried about my chances.
Well, let's have a look at those Triple Crown standings. The Canadian Triple Crown, a new year championship within a championship set up by the Champ Car World Series. There's Team Australia. The average is 3 for them. Kind of a golf situation. Our Sports with an average finish of 6 in the first 2 races. And NHL, an average finish of 7 1/4. Minardi and PKV rounding out the first 5. The field is ready on pit road here in Edmonton. Welcome to Edmonton, the third time the Champ Car World Series has come here. The fans in Western Canada really embrace this event. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jan Beekes is alongside midway through the 2007 season. This Canadian Triple Crown, a brand new tradition in Champ Car, a very, very interesting and close fight. But even closer, the battle for the season championship. Jan, 3 drivers under a blanket right now.
And when you look at the point system, it shows this example that it rewards consistency. No question that Sebastian Bourdais has been the fastest driver with the fastest car with 3 wins. But look at those DNFs, or did not finish. 3. That's knocked him out of the championship lead, and the guy who has none, Robert Dornbos, he's at the top.
Now up front on the grid today, Will Power and Sebastian Bourdais, 2 of the 3 protagonists. What about Dornbos? He struggled.
Well, he did struggle, but only in qualifying. They had problems with the car. The car was the fastest in the morning warm-up, so we'll see again if he can go from the back to the front.
As we take a look at Will Power's machine, car number 5, the Aussie Vineyards entry. He is the pole sitter here this weekend. Right now sandwiched in that top 3. 3 points separate the first 3 drivers in this standings. Let's get them underway.
Drivers, start your engines!
Rexall ready to go. One of the legends of the sport, former champion Mario Andretti here as the Grand Marshal this weekend. There's Catherine Legg in one of Dale Coyne's entries, the Sonny's barbecue car. Car number 11, Catherine struggling. She's been in the wall twice this weekend, but they have managed to fix that race car and get her ready to start here this afternoon. Field lined up. Interesting stories here. We'll talk more about it, but Tristan Gommendy in the pay-by-touch 22 car for PKV. He's not going to run today. He was banged up in a test earlier this year, had that huge wreck in Toronto, got into the wall here earlier this weekend as well. The decision made by Dr. Chris Pendersky, who is the Champ Car Director of Medical Services, that he was unfit to drive today. Jan, here's what happened earlier in the weekend.
It was a nearly straight-on impact just before he came into that position. It was a high G impact, and here he had the discussion with Kevin Kalkoven as well as Mark Johnson saying, sorry, you got to step out.
So Mario Dominguez gets the call. Now, he was here this weekend to drive the Champ Car 2-seater, the Minardi F1 2-seater. Dominguez, of course, happy, bringing his helmet and his suit to the racetrack every weekend, shopping for a ride, and the opportunity comes to Mario, who has run the first 3 races this season for the Forsyth Index team in car number 7. And he will start at the rear of the grid today in the pay-by-touch 22. Tristan Gommendy will be evaluated to see whether he's going to miss just this race or might miss perhaps next week's run at San Jose. But Mario will start 17th all by himself today in that pay-by-touch car, and he's got a lot to prove as the field rolls away behind the Mazda RX-8 safety car.
He does have a lot to prove, but he has to remember he's only had a few laps in the car, and that was this morning. If I were Mario, I would just stay out of trouble, keep it in one piece, and see what happens.
Field rolling away here. You couldn't ask for a better championship fight in this situation. You've got Dornbos, Bobby D, we christened him a few weeks ago. That win at Mont Tremblant, kind of a surprise to many of us. That has helped vault him to the top of the standings. Yeah, the last time we were with the series in Toronto in the wet weather 2 weeks ago in the Steelback Grand Prix, Dornbos came on with a 5th place finish, even though there was late contact with he and Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais couldn't finish. That was one of those DNFs that you talked about. Dornbos starts deep in the field today, Bill Stevens.
And as Jan mentioned earlier, that team has definitely had its struggles this weekend. But this morning, because they ran so well in practice, they're feeling a little bit lighter. The reason? They changed the engine in that car last night, which corrected a host of problems on that automobile. They've got a happy face on today for the race. Let's go to Rick.
We want to talk about the fact that Will Power came into Edmonton with sole possession of 2nd place. Here in Edmonton, unfortunately, on Friday, he lost that because Sebastian Bourdais grabbed the Friday pole. When he grabbed the Friday pole, he got the point that went with it. And as a result, Sebastian and Will Power were in a tie for 2nd place. The solution, when you're Will Power, very easy. You simply get the Saturday pole, you take that back, sole possession of 2nd place. More importantly, 1 point closer to the championship. Michelle?
I spoke with Paul Newman, team owner of Newman Haas Lanigan, about his viewpoint on Sebastian Bourdais being behind in the overall point standings. He said, look, I nicknamed him Rolex for a reason. When it's time, he gets the job done. So it doesn't appear that Mr. Newman is worried as well.
Great point, Michelle, because he's been Mr. Automatic, has been Sebastian Bourdais, but it's also a great point. It has been since early 2005 that he's been in this position, so it'll be great to see how this fight develops.
17 cars and drivers coming to the line here in Edmonton. First time for a standing start here at this racetrack. Brand new situation here in Edmonton. This is the 3rd time the series has come here. Power on the pole, Bourdais alongside. Last year, Justin Wilson was the winner here, his only win of the season. He's 4th in the standings, and Wilson lines up today inside row number 2. Now, Jan, earlier this weekend in the Champ Car Atlantic Championship, we've seen some gamesmanship from the drivers. This is such a wide front straightaway.
It is a case where the start is going to be ultra critical today, but they moved it slightly to be sure that these cars are off of the white painted section of the runway. We are close, and boy, these standing starts this year have been awesome.
Lights will come on, all 4 will go out. That'll put us in motion for an hour 45 here at Rexall Speedway in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Heart rates coming up, as do the revs on these motors. Everybody's away. The field spreads out. Neil Johnny diving to the inside. Power and Bourdais 3 wide for 2nd. Justin Wilson gets beaten to the corner by Johnny.
And Sebastian Bourdais goes around the outside almost like an oval move. That was a brilliant start by Sebastian Bourdais. Will Power after pole position cannot cash in.
We showed you the starting lineup, top of your screen. A driver to think about, Bruno Junqueira. Another great run for Dale Coyne. Qualified 6th. He's right there right now. Your Mazda running order. Top of your screen. Bourdais jumping to the lead. Now remember a year ago when Wilson won, he passed Bourdais midway through the race. Wilson's 4th right now in the CDW 9 car.
What a fantastic start for Neil Johnny. In the Red Bull colors, fantastic. A couple great, it's the first thing, everybody got off the line with great starts. So on these wide circuits, this standing start has been an awesome upgrade for Champ Car.
Johnny gridded 5th, came to 3rd with that great move going down into turn 1. Bourdais grabs the early lead.
And Jan and Rick, interesting differing tire strategy up front. Sebastian Bourdais starting on reds, Will Power on the black primary tires.
And on reds, the Bridgestone alternate Potenzas, Wilson just took 3rd from Johnny with an inside move in turn 1.
And we know that Justin Wilson, historically, last year he was on fire. He was fast here. And when you can make a move that early on a guy like Neil Johnny, that means he's got a good setup and the car just how he wants it.
So Justin Wilson, the winner here a year ago, moves to 3rd. Johnny drops to 4th. Bourdais is the leader. Power is 2nd. Bobby Dornbos in 10th. He's already moved up a couple of spots.
And we should mention he is the only other driver in the field to start on the black Bridgestones. 2 cars, Will Power, Robert Dornbos, the only 2 that opted for the blacks instead of the red alternates.
And I think when you're talking the blacks, in the case certainly of Dornbos, he has to do things differently than other people because qualifying didn't go the way he wanted. When you're up front, you want to run the higher grip, get the sections done early with the faster tires, but if you're not where you want to be, you have to do something different, and we'll see if it pays.
Well, of course, pit stop strategy is key. We see Graham Rahal there in that light blue Metazone machine. Mario Dominguez deep in the field, but there's the 19 car, Bruno Junqueira. He was going to take a shot, but Ryan Dial is the guy who's really flying. Junqueira back to 7th now. Dial qualified in the top 10 for the first time this season, and he has moved up. Dial is on fire. He is up to 6th right now.
And Dial is just ahead here of Bruno Junqueira. He's in the gray car. Bruno Junqueira in red and white, and that was a very close move. He lost some momentum, but some great dicing out there now with Simon Pagenaud hot on his heels.
Bruno in the Sonny's Barbecue 19 for Dale Coyne's team. Remember 5th at Toronto 2 weeks ago in the rain. Great weekend for that team and for Bruno Junqueira, who really feels as though he's got a lot to prove again here this weekend. Of course, with Newman Haas for several seasons, 2nd in the championship a couple of times, couple of race wins with them. Out of a ride in favor of Graham Rahal here in 2007. Hooks on with Coyne, and he's given that team new life. Let's take another look at the standing start.
And I think you want to keep your eyes on Sebastian Bourdais. He gets great drive, but look, he doesn't even bother with anybody else. He goes around the outside, and there was the sandwich move of the blue car by Neil Johnny, taking to the inside, forcing his way up into 3rd spot.
One more look, a little closer to the racetrack. Power on the left of your screen, the pole sitter, the green car. Wilson sticking to the middle. Johnny with that great dive to the bottom. That was a look at Bourdais with that power move on the high side of turn 1. Bourdais, meantime, is your race leader. He won here the first time we came here in 2005 in the McDonald's machine. Last year ran 2nd to Justin Wilson. 3 in a row series championships for Bourdais. Races now out of St. Petersburg, Florida, going for history. It would be 4 in a row if he can get the job done here in 2007. Bill Stevens.
Down here at Derek Walker, Team Australia. On the start, Derek, was there something that Will might have been able to do to keep Sebastian from going around him?
Well, unfortunately, we're worried about that. There's a lot of paint on their side of the track. So we got on the paint, got a little bit more wheel spin than we wanted, and that gave Sebastian the advantage. So, hey, it's a long race, though, but that was the reason.
And Jan, that was one of the things we have talked about when they painted the starting line in the grid. It's a concern for the drivers.
Well, a concern right now for Ryan Dial, Bill, as we see the 28 car, one of the PCM machines, the Edmonton Sun molecule entry. Dial, who led so many laps at Toronto, he had vaulted from 9th on the grid to 6th. He spins in 1, Jan, and gives up a lot of track position.
He was pushing hard, and he was having one of his best races, of course, after leading in Toronto. Just got a little bit high outside of the groove. That's such a wide corner, but you can get a pretty good idea if we stop here just for a moment. Look at the dividing line there on the racetrack between where there was rubber and where there wasn't. He just stepped over that line briefly, and it gets really slick.
Dial's best qualifying effort this season came here this weekend. They were very optimistic. We talked to him shortly before the start as we watch Bourdais continuing to lead, working lap number 6. He's about 0.8 of a second in front of Will Power, who won at Toronto 2 weeks ago. Power's first 2 Champ Car World Series wins have come this season. Surprised everyone by winning the opener, of course, in Las Vegas this year, and then came back to win in the wet at Toronto, a wild one 2 weeks ago that you saw right here. Bourdais out in front in the McDonald's entry. Power 2nd. Wilson, Johnny, and Graham Rahal the top 5. Bruno Junqueira shuffled back to 6th. Simone Pagenaud, Tagliani, Dornbos is up to 9th now. He's the points leader. And Paul Tracy, haven't seen him yet. We will, I'm sure, in a moment. He's had problems all weekend. They've really chased the race car, the Forsyth Index team. PT up to 10th after lining up deep in the field today. 14th on the grid for Paul Tracy, the Cleveland winner, as we watch Bourdais.
We know that Paul Tracy is aggressive on start, so that could be part of it, but they were going to throw a brand new setup on the car today to see if they could possibly find something, because they were, in their own words, lost in some of the early sessions.
So Bourdais continues to lead. Now, we mentioned we saw him at the start of the broadcast. Mario Dominguez in relief this weekend for Tristan Gommendy in the pay-by-touch 22 car. Dominguez starting at the rear of the field, but he's moved up a couple of spots. He's gotten around Alex Figge, and he's also gotten around Ryan Dial, who spun. Let's get more on Tristan Gommendy's condition. Michelle.
Cal Coven, team owner of PKV. Can you give us an update on Tristan and his long-term prognosis?
He's going to be fine. He'll probably be out of the car for a couple of races. He's got a crack in his one of his lower vertebrae and some bruising, but he's got a lion heart. He's a tough guy. He'll be back.
You definitely feel good about pulling him when you did.
Yeah, it was really tough. I mean, the guy was in the car ready to go qualify. He'd had a good warm-up session. Dr. Chris Pendersky, the surgeon, came along and said, "We've just re-examined the x-rays and we think there's a problem." So I had to go to him and say, out of the car. We just couldn't risk it. And, of course, he was very upset. But, as I said, he's a lionheart. He'll be back.
Thank you.
Mario Dominguez filling in 15th position right now in the pay-by-touch car, trying to get by Catherine Legge. An inside move. That would give Mario Dominguez 14th as he closes the deal on the Bridgestone Reds. Will Power, second in the championship. Second right now to Sebastian Bourdais. ESPN's coverage of the Champ Car World Series, the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton, being brought to you today by Mazda, always the soul of a sports car. By Rexall, a pharmacy first. And by Bridgestone, for drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. Back in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, the Champ Car World Series, the Rexall Speedway is where we are for the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton with Jan Beekes. I'm Rick Benjamin. Jan, show us around this place. Just under 2 miles here and a really fast racetrack.
It's located outside the city center on an actual active airport. You can see the runways and the taxiways, but it's ultra fast, faster than Cleveland. This is a place that is very physically demanding. We already saw a great standing start and everybody filed through turn number 1, but there are some other places that you can pass. You weave your way through some high G-force corners, but you can pass in 10. And the way you get around turn 11 and turn 12 can make a difference if you pull off the pass in turn 1.
Watching Sebastian Bourdais jump to the lead heading into turn 1 off the standing start. Got around pole sitter Will Power. He was quickest here Friday, the provisional pole winner, which put him on the front row. Bourdais third in the championship. There's Power. Really wide line for Power off that final corner. That's our look at the Rexall Speedway at City Center Airport in Edmonton. If you'd like to take a lap on the edge with Robert Dornbos as he roars around this 1.97-mile layout, log on to the series website, champcar.ws. Let's get on board with Robert Dornbos. Bobby D here. We've got the visor cam with the Ozjet ride here today. Dornbos up to 9th.
Let's just ride with him. One of the best views. He has his gloves rolled up to get some air to it. This will give you a feel for how physically demanding. 175 miles an hour here. Down to 86. Bouncing over the curves. 4th gear through that section. That was 2.7 G's he just pulled in that corner. Slowest corner, 63. Oh, almost flat out.
Sebastian Bourdais turns 11 and 12. Yeah, this is one of those places where it's really one corner and you're really on the gas there. We've seen some drivers have trouble tagging that wall on the exit there.
It's almost a long double apex style corner to where you want to carry so much speed in, but if you miss it by a few feet, it's tough to keep it off the wall.
Bourdais is out in front. 1.3 seconds to the good over Power. Power with a good run here. Got the pole late in the going yesterday. Knocked the front wing off the car just as he finished his pole lap. Wasn't penalized for it. Got to start up front, but he was outgunned on the start. What's his strategy now, Jan?
The strategy now, I would say, is going to be to save fuel. If he was ahead of Bourdais, now let's listen to see if he is. At the end of the straightaway here, let's see if he backs off the throttle early. Yes, he's in fuel-saving mode. Normally you would hear full power and then full brake, but you're hearing him throttle out. So you're hearing some throttle deceleration before he gets to the brake. So he's in fuel-saving mode right now. There's no dials, although there's lots of dials here on the steering wheel. None of them will change the fuel. There's a torque map and there's lots of other buttons, but you have to only save fuel by how you drive the car.
Our fortune telemetry.
And Jan, I just wanted to quickly mention how we've talked about how Will Power has become almost the equal of Sebastian Bourdais when it comes to the fuel-saving game. He really has become very adept at exactly what you're talking about.
And it's worth Bill saying why. The reason that you're trying to save some fuel right now is he wants to try to go one extra lap than what Sebastian Bourdais can do. It's not that they don't have enough fuel to make the race. He wants to pit one lap later.
And I can tell you that Sebastian's team has already told him that they're working on the same strategy. They rated to him. They're talking about fuel numbers. Said, we want to go that extra lap. So they are also on the same strategy.
And they've been the masters of that over the last several years at Newman Haas Lanigan. Hey, if you want more Champ Car race action today and all season long, subscribe to Race Director. Series website is champcar.ws. 6 different camera angles, live team radios, live telemetry, and much more, all from your home computer at champcar.ws. Will Power, 2 wins under his belt this year. Has to come up with a strategy now to try to stay within hailing distance of race leader Sebastian Bourdais. There's the gap. In terms of car lengths, maybe 20. Here's the third place car, Justin Wilson. In the championship hunt, but not among the top 3, sitting 4th right now. The winner here a year ago, his only race win came here last year. Yeah, we were watching as we ride with him in the CDW machine. He was throwing this car around during qualifying.
He's not throwing it around quite to the same level. Here's the slowest corner on the racetrack, but one that gets you in trouble. Let's listen and see if he's saving fuel. It'll be at the end of the straightaway. Also, he's also on a fuel saving. Whenever you see a gap between throttle and brake, of course the telemetry is slightly delayed, but if you see not instantaneous braking, that's in fuel saving mode.
What drivers refer to as we're letting it roll through a corner.
Exactly. We'll actually roll into a corner in this particular case, yes.
CDW machine of Wilson in 3rd. Now, on the start, if you recall, Johnny in the PKV Red Bull car, right behind him there, the blue car from the PKV stables, he dove by Wilson going down into the corner. Didn't take Justin long to retake that spot, and Johnny now settles into 4th.
And Justin Wilson is the only driver, at least in the top group, that has used some of the Cosworth power to pass. So when he just shot by Neil Johnny, he was on the button, got that extra 50 horsepower. Here at this racetrack, you only get 8 seconds for your burst. You get a total of 60 seconds to use throughout the race, but with a maximum time of 8 seconds, you obviously have more opportunities to use it here in Edmonton.
And meanwhile, guys, the PKV team has been telling their drivers 1.9 is the mileage number. And Jan, is probably something you can elaborate on.
I can. 1.9 is high, Bill, because they were running 1.73 or less in qualifying, or even actually in race trim. So 1.9, that's big-time fuel saving.
Graham Rexall here, the men his own car number 2, Bourdais' teammate at Newman Haas Lanigan. Let's get on board the 18-year-old, his rookie season in Champ Car, 2nd in the Champ Car Atlantic Championship a year ago.
7th here, you can do it.
And he's being coached on fuel as well. When they say you can do it, normally that's to pick up a spot, but here it's you can do it, you can make another lap, because you're coached as much on fuel. And I will tell you, when you're saving fuel, you're not riding around. When you're driving as fast as you possibly can and they tell you to save fuel, that's a tough job.
For an 18-year-old particularly.
For anybody.
He is on the Bridgestone red alternates. A little bit quicker here. This is one of the circuits where the alternate tires seem to make quite a difference for a lot of teams. And the Newman Haas Lanigan team certainly seems to favor them here this weekend as we watch Rexall run in 5th position behind Neil Johnny.
I want to mention that in the morning warm-up, Graham Rexall was working on that fuel strategy. Going out, he's got a chance, you've got a full load. It's going out and trying to figure out how to run the track in that fuel-saving mode, and that's really what he was working on in the warm-up.
Well, he's We've got a tremendous championship battle here. 8th race of the season, midpoint of 2007. And the battle will continue to heat up next week between Bourdais, Power, and the championship leader Dornbos will be in the Silicon Valley back on the streets of San Jose. Champ Car World Series on ESPN2 next Sunday, July 29th, 6 o'clock Eastern Time. The San Jose Grand Prix presented by Redback Networks. More on ESPN.com. Can Graham Rahal climb back into podium contention? Can Sebastian Bourdais win his 4th of the season? We'll see in a moment. Here at Edmonton, the Champ Car 2-seaters. That's Paul Newman, of course, who's got tons of racing experience. And who's that? Former world champ Mario Andretti, who took PLN for a ride this morning in that black Minardi Champ Car 2-seater. Paul thoroughly enjoyed the ride. Thanked Mario when all was said and done. Mario said earlier in the weekend, John, that, hey, Paul Newman won a regional sports car race at Lime Rock not long ago. He said, hey, I can still be racing another 15 years. He'll drive anything when he gets the opportunity.
Mario had a great time in that car, although he had a couple of spins first time he took it out, but he said he was just testing the traction.
Yeah, just testing the tires with the traction control. Mazda safety car is out. We're under caution for the first time today. We welcome you to coverage of the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton on ESPN. 8th race of the season for the Champ Car World Series. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Beekes. On pit road, Bill Stevens, Michelle Beisner, and Rick DeBrule joining us this weekend. Great to have you with us. Sebastian Bourdais, 3 wins on the season, but uncharacteristically 3rd in points coming in by just 2. He's the race leader from the outside pole, vaulted around Will Power. Going into turn 1, he's led so far.
This is on lap number 19, so I would expect all the leaders will pit here. They'll take an opportunity. It's going to most likely be a 3-stop race. If there isn't a lot of yellow, this is inside their pit window, so expect almost everyone to hit pit road.
As the leaders come down the short straightaway, much like Cleveland, there's a chicane that dumps you onto the front stretch, but at the entrance of the chicane is the entrance to pit road, and there they go.
What a great shot. Nobody stayed on the track.
No.
So Bourdais will be first. He's there, Rick DeBrule.
Indeed, Sebastian Bourdais, the leader of the race, brings the car in. They decide to go to the black tires. One quick turn of wing on the
look out.
front, and they've got a problem.
Oh, he had to wait.
Wing is coming in. Graham Rahal behind him, but it was a... Will Power just completed his pit stop. He switched from the primary tires to the red tires, and there is a funnel here at the end of the pit lane.
And Sebastian Bourdais had to get checked up. He had to wait for a moment for Catherine Lake to come into the spot. It appears as though Will Power, yes, look at the race off of pit road. Power and Wilson, and that is because your pit selection is based on the finish of the previous event. Sebastian Bourdais was back where he had to wait for traffic to come in, and that one bit him badly.
First caution of the day for debris on the backside of the racetrack over in turn 7. That opened the door for all of these teams to bring their drivers to pit road. Reminiscent of what happened a year ago. What set up Justin Wilson and gave him a chance to win was a great pit stop. He got out in front of Paul Tracy last year. That put him in position to run down Bourdais, take the victory. A quick reminder, grab your mobile device in a few minutes. You'll be able to participate in our Mazda virtual pit stop. You'll be able to cast your vote. You try to make the right call. Champ Car Grand Prix of Edmonton. Safety car with the lights out. Power will be the restart leader. Wilson will go second. Simone Pagenaud at the moment being shown third in the other Team Australia Aussie Vineyards car. But for Power, this is a great opportunity.
Oh, this was a fantastic gift. And again, it comes because they had the pit out selection. Catherine Lake didn't do anything wrong. Just where she was running in the race, she happened to be coming in right when we saw Sebastian Bourdais leaving, and Sebastian had to wait.
Robert Dornbos carrying one of our onboards today, the Jumbo Supermarkets Ozjet 14. He's the points leader. The win at Mont Tremblant. How about this? Started 11th, got to 9th. Off pit road, not a great stop. He'll line up 11th behind Oriol Servia. Paul Tracy up in front there in the other Forsyth Index car. They have battled all weekend. They changed the car dramatically last night. PT has moved to 8th after lining up 14th there earlier today. Back underway. Power, Wilson, Pagenaud back there, but Bourdais is third on the restart. Rahal, Pagenaud 5th now in front of Tagliani in that black and red Walmart machine. And Power is your race leader for Aussie Vineyards.
Interesting tire strategies. We saw some people go for the red Bridgestone, some go for the blacks in these middle stints. You know, do you want to run fast, or do you want to save, like we see Simone Pagenaud on the black Bridgestones? It's a case where, and Tagliani behind him as well. You know, you just kind of see if you can hang on and save your faster tires for later.
Yeah, save a set of those Bridgestone alternates for the last stint of the race. If it is a 3-stopper, this race will be run in 4 segments basically today. An hour 20 remaining. We're on lap 22 here as we watch Tagliani trying to put pressure on Pagenaud for 5th position. Tag 8th both at Mont Tremblant and Toronto. He was in position to have a great run at Toronto and got crossed up in the wet weather, ended up tagging the tires, did finish, but not where he wanted to 2 weeks ago in that Walmart Tide car.
Wow. And boy, did he hold that thing down trying to go. That's a flat-out chicane, 155 miles an hour. Looked like he got some push, and he was wide in that first part.
Paul Tracy getting by Bruno Junqueira to move to 7th now.
Wow.
Cosworth power to pass. There's PT and the Forsyth Index car number 3. Remember, on the airport course at Cleveland, knocked the nose off 3 different times. We thought he was done. Came back to win. Circumstances played into his hands. And the great veteran, the 2003 Series champ, the thrill from West Hill, bagged his first victory in 2 years.
The problem that they've been having with this car is that the car does not grip well when the track gets hot. But you can tell by the pictures here, there is some overcast. It's a warm day, but there are a few clouds around. And right now, it's not direct sun. And if they haven't changed the car significantly, this will definitely help Paul Tracy. Not good in the hot conditions.
Our Plantronics telemetry on the 3 car. Let's see where he picks up the throttle there. Oil Serbia behind Junqueira in that white Sonny's barbecue car. There's Serbia in the other Forsyth Index machine. Hey, the Champ Car World Series. Plenty of information available for you on the new iPhone from Apple. The site showcases the latest videos from Champ Car, previews, recaps, driver interviews, short video highlights of the latest events. iPhone owners, go to the series website. Well, it's a different one actually, ccws2.com/i. The site will be updated regularly with the best from the Champ Car World Series you can watch on the go on your iPhone. Paul Tracy with some great heady moves in the first couple of dozen laps here today. 23 complete. He is up to 7th. He's gained 7 spots. Big mover of the day so far for the 2003 Series champion.
And talking to some of the teams down here before the race today, I got to tell you that Paul Tracy was one of the unspoken dark horses. As you mentioned, Rick, in Cleveland, a very unlikely victory. Everything on Friday and Saturday led to that team doing poorly, and they won the race. And some people are saying you might see lightning strike twice again here this weekend.
It's a similar setup, but they brought their Cleveland setup here, Bill, and they didn't like it at all. It was very loose. The car was stepping out everywhere, and as I said, it got worse if the track got hot. So last night they were going to throw a different setup. It wasn't that they said they missed it off the truck, but all the adjustments they made were the wrong way. Yeah. So they were going back to point A and then turning a different direction.
Junqueira started 6th. He's lost a couple of spots in the Sonny's Barbecue 19, Dale Coyne's machine. Trying to get back up on Tracy and give him a fight for 7th. Tagliani up in front in 6th.
And, of course, Junqueira ran well in Toronto. But right after Toronto, they took this car and put it on a shaker rig, which shakes the car and gives you, essentially, you put the data in for going over the bumps. And it's like you're testing the car dynamically on a racetrack. Then they went for a full day of testing at Putnam Park to test what they learned in the lab, if it was the same. So they've been working hard at developing, and Dale Coyne now doing some testing that they hadn't done earlier in the year.
There is Bruno Junqueira in that 19 car for Dale Coyne's team. Catherine Legg in the 11, the other Sonny's Barbecue entry, back in 17th. She wrecked that car hard earlier this weekend. They got it fixed yesterday for the final few minutes of qualifying. But she went off this morning as well. So it's been a difficult weekend for at least half that team, Michelle Beisner.
Dale, how are we today? Bruno Junqueira has done significantly better in the last couple of races. You're having some problems with Catherine, but what are you attributing to Bruno's success?
Well, we didn't do a lot of testing in between the big break, but we went out and did some shaker rig work and some testing, and you know, it showed well for Bruno. A couple guys, we had a good pit stop. A couple guys got us there because they were pitted at the far end, which is always an advantage. But we're looking for a nice top 5 today. Would be nice.
Well, what's it going to take to get there?
You just got to keep pedaling. We all got to keep pedaling hard, and Bruno will push hard. He knows when to push hard, when to save fuel, and how to do it.
And Michelle, when he's talking about pushing hard, Bruno Junqueira said when he was talking to Sebastian Bourdais that my car here after the testing has the heaviest steering effort of anything that I've driven this year. And he says this thing is like a monster to try and steer, so he is going to be getting a workout.
Well, a guy who's working very, very well right now, how about Justin Wilson, the defending race winner here at Rexall Speedway, the Rexall Champ Car Grand Prix of Edmonton. He managed to get around Sebastian Bourdais while we were talking to Dale Coyne. Wilson now second. We'll see if he can do anything with Will Power, who's gunning for 2 in a row, and it would be his 3rd win of the season. We ride on the CDW 9 car. Look at the gap he's opened up back there to Bourdais already.
And you talk about the gap, but another thing that I like to watch, keep an eye there on the suspension components. When they go across, when he'll be coming up to a chicane here, and you'll really get an idea. There they are moving up and down. There's some big bumps here. Watch this thing go as it goes across the bumps. They talk about how stiff these cars are like go-karts, but these things still move a lot.
Wilson's about a 2.5 seconds now in front of Bourdais, who may well be in fuel economy mode as he runs 3rd in the McDonald's car number 1. Lots of racing for you on ESPN. As always this weekend, the NHRA's Powerade Series continues in Seattle. Race 2 on their critical Western swing. John Force back in business. Try to make a midseason rally, make the countdown to the championship in Funny Car. The NHRA Shucks Auto Supply Nationals finals tonight. Our coverage at 7 Eastern. More information at ESPN.com. Power's out in front. Wilson's moved to 2nd. Bourdais is 3rd. His teammate Graham Rahal comfortably 4th in front of Simone Pagenaud. Paul Tracy is 7th. Championship leader Bobby Dornbos into 10th position in Edmonton. Back in Edmonton, the Champ Car World Series, the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton. It's been a great show all weekend, as always. And the drivers love coming here. The fans are so responsive. The Canadian Snowbirds part of the pre-race festivities today. Will Power, the pole sitter for the Aussie Vineyards team. And he is out in front with 30 laps complete in that green and yellow car number 5. Justin Wilson moving to 2nd of the CDW 9 car, the winner here a year ago. Power's first 2 wins. And you and I have talked about this off and on over the seasons, but for a guy like Power, his rookie year last year, you could see him make progress. This is a place where he scared everybody with a huge hit during weekend practice before the race. Here's Bourdais, 3rd in the championship, 3rd on the racetrack right now. But for Power, when he won the opener and then when he won in the rain at Toronto, isn't that one of those cases where a young driver learns how to win by winning?
Yes, when you have finally pulled one off, it just takes the monkey off your back. And a case for Will Power, he was really down on himself because he thought he should have had the pole here on Friday, almost gave it away on Saturday, but now I think he's regrouped.
Well, Sebastian Bourdais riding 3rd, Rick DeBrule. Are they happy with that race car?
Well, we're here with Craig Hampson, who can answer the question. First off, frustrated with the pit stop, but how's the car?
I think the car's okay. It looks like Will Power is a little quicker than Justin, and we're just kind of bottled up behind Justin right now. I mean, that pit stop, that's a tough deal. I mean, yellow flag stop's the last thing we wanted to see. We're back here with a lousy pit position because of what happened in Toronto, and just every time it's going to come in under yellow, it's going to look like rush hour here. And frankly, the guy who does our radio, Kenny, he had a great save keeping a wreck from happening because Catherine was going to pile right into us.
All right, thanks a lot. Craig Hampson.
And I think it's worth saying that Catherine was doing what she was supposed to. When you're coming into the pits, it's your right of way. So, yes, Kenny Seawick had a good save there. They held Sebastian, and they have done that on purpose. Tony Kottman, the race director, changed the rules this year to where you cannot split the teams. If you're a 2-car team, you have to average your finishes, and that is your pit selection because they wanted a guy like Bourdais not to always have the preferred spot. Uh-oh, smoke.
Should be pit out. Yeah, the car, pay-by-touch machine, the PKV car. Mario Dominguez car, lots of smoke coming off the engine from that ride. Tough for Dominguez, who's advanced that car from 17th.
Careful, you got smoke out the back. You got smoke out the back. Careful.
He's moved to 13th. They're warning him on the radio to get out of the gas. So Dominguez ran the first 3 races for the Forsyth team.
Let's park that thing at the fire station.
So they do not want him to bring it back to the pits. And there are...
Let's take it straight, take it straight here, off the safe location, straight ahead.
Now, is that a case where they can see on the telemetry that there's trouble back there?
Oh, yes. They'll know right away. The Cosworth engineers will tell them if it's something
There you go,
serious.
right there.
And they're directing him now to where there could be a fire bottle.
El Dominguez with the visor up. He is off the racetrack safely there. And Dominguez has to be frustrated.
We had some sort of an exhaust leak early on. You're probably down on power.
On board with race leader Will Power, Dominguez climbed 4 spots before having that problem. Hey, your chance now to choose some of the best Champ Car moments in the last 12 months. The San Jose Grand Prix, presented by Redback Networks next week, hosts the Champ Car Mid-Season Fan Favorite Awards at the Drivers' Party. It's Friday night, July 27th. Categories include Best Crash, Best Pass, and the most interesting confrontation of the season. And you can vote for your favorite moment. Go to the website, sjgp.com. That's the San Jose Grand Prix website, sjgp.com. Vote in the Champ Car Mid-Season Favorite Awards. They'll be handed out next Friday night when we get to San Jose. Race leader Will Power, certainly one of the drivers with a lot to talk about at the midpoint of the 2007 season. The 2 wins, the race lead here. And he is just a point out of the championship lead. And at the moment, at least, Robert Dornbos, remember we told you earlier, the Minardi team had put a new motor in the Ozjet car for Dornbos, who's the points leader coming in here, Rookie of the Year leader by a mile. But Dornbos struggling. He moved up from 11th on the grid to 9th. He's dropped back now to 10th behind Oriol Serbia. He's not making much progress, Jan.
But he is pushing Oriol, and he's got Speedy Dan Clark, his teammate, right behind him. And we'll have to see if he is able to, again, the problem that we talked about in the very beginning is we see how much power to pass remaining. He has used some, Serbia none, is that when they changed the engine that we spoke about earlier on, that's because an alternator had failed yesterday, and without electrical power, you can't downshift or upshift these cars. But this morning, he was absolutely the fastest car in the warm-up. I thought he would just vault to the front, but obviously still struggling somewhat.
Ran some laps in the 58-second bracket, which is qualifying pace. Race pace about 1:01 here for most of these drivers right now. Working lap 35. You see the time clock there, 1:06 remaining. At this pace, we should have time for about 60 laps or so, but of course it depends on whether we see another caution flag or 2, but that is a battle. The 7-car of Oriol Serbia. Serbia in 9th, riding with Dornbos in 10th.
And let's listen a bit, because sometimes we can tell what might be up with the car if we go into the visor cam. He had a bit of an early turn in. Ooh, he had to lift. He's catching Serbia now, so he's got some more speed. Look how much he's closed in on Serbia. So I think, Rick, this was a call where we just got a call from the pit saying, okay, you've saved enough fuel for now. Now go after Serbia, because he's lit up now.
You can see the Bridgestone Reds, the softer alternate tires there. The Potenzas on the car of Dornbos. He was 3/10 quicker last lap, trying to get around. There's Speedy Dan Clark, his teammate, in the Ticketmaster Muirman's machine. Time now for the Mazda virtual pit stop, where you, the viewer, try to make the right call. Got a question for you to weigh in on today. What's your favorite type of circuit in the Canadian Triple Crown that we're wrapping up here today? Use your mobile phone. Text A if you'd like the permanent road course at Mont Tremblant. B for the street course at Toronto. Actually, let's flip that. A is Toronto, B is Mont Tremblant, C is Edmonton. 55333 is the number to text to. Each text vote costs you 50 cents, and we'll have the Mazda virtual pit stop results for you a little later in our broadcast. Power is in front of Wilson and Bourdais on lap 37. Beautiful city to visit, Edmonton in Alberta, Canada, Western Canada, the oil capital of this great country. 3rd race of our Canadian Triple Crown swing this summer, following Mont Tremblant and Toronto. Great to be here once again. 3rd time that we have come to City Center Airport and Rexall Speedway. Check in on one of the great battles being waged here. Neil Johnny had struggled on pit road, it appears. He's back in 14th after running in the top 5 in the early going. Back with Ryan Dial right now, who has come back to 13th. Dial qualified best of the season. Up in the top 10, moved up quickly a couple of spots off the start. Spun, kept it running, and has battled back. Mario Dominguez is behind the wall with engine problems. Catherine Legg with a problem. She just stopped on the racetrack. She's in a safe area with the visor up in the Sonny's Barbecue 11. Looks as though she is done. Alex Figge running 15th right now. Johnny 14th. Dial up to 13th as we watch this battle for position. Jan Halen is 12th. Speedy Dan Clark chasing his teammate Robert Dornbos, 10th and 11th there. Serbia up ahead of 9th. Running order top of your screen, along with the time remaining. 60 seconds of Cosworth power to pass, 50 extra horsepower on tap for each of these Champ Car World Series drivers. 41 laps about to go on the board. We've got just over an hour of racing remaining. We've had one caution period for debris on the backside of the racetrack. Will Power, Sebastian Bourdais have led this show so far today. Justin Wilson at the moment 2nd. And Serbia under heavy pressure now. Dornbos really needs to get by him, I think.
It would be a case where if he can get just a little bit closer, he would want to go to the Cosworth power to pass and try and get a nice aggressive move on the front straightaway.
We are in Edmonton, Canada, the Champ Car World Series, 8th race of 2007, the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton. Great championship battle here. Robert Dornbos with a 1-point lead over Will Power. Sebastian Bourdais, 3 consecutive titles. He's third, 2 points back because of a couple of DNFs. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Beekes, Bill Stevens, Michelle Beisner, Rick the Brewer joining us this weekend on pit road. Bobby Dornbos in that 14th car, the championship leader, the winner at Mont Tremblant, down the front straightaway into turn 1. Dornbos struggling here this weekend, quick in the morning warm-up, but he has not raced particularly well thus far. Trying to battle back, hanging on in the top 10. He's right behind Oriol Servia there, who runs 9th in the Forsyth Index, car number 7.
And you will see it scroll over the top when we're looking at that power to pass, that in fact Dornbos has used quite a bit of power to pass already, whereas Oriol Servia has not. So it's a case where Dornbos is already trying to use some of this early to get position, but so far, there it is, Servia with a full minute, Dornbos with 43 seconds.
And we talk sometimes about how drivers will use it defensively. When they know they're under attack, they'll hit the button to stay out in front.
The thing I find interesting is this ebb and flow, because it looks like Dornbos, all of a sudden, as we look at his teammate Clark right behind, it looks like he's all over Servia, ready to do something, and the next thing you know, there's a big gap, and that's not something you normally see, is a big ebb and flow change here. Very interesting for Dornbos.
Watching the 2 Minardi cars, let's get an update from the Forsyth Index pits. Michelle.
Neil Mickelwright, VP of Operations for Team Forsyth. You made some adjustments to both cars this weekend because you weren't happy with Servia's and Tracy's. What did you do?
Basically, we felt that, we kind of got ourselves into a black hole where nothing was making an awful lot of sense. So we did some major changes on Paul's car overnight, and I think we've gotten a little bit closer. Race pace-wise, we're only about 3/10 off of the leaders winning. We made some other changes on Oriol's car, which don't seem to be as effective.
Well, they both jumped up, but we've seen Tracy come from behind and win the whole thing. Can you do it again here in Edmonton?
It's going to be a little bit more difficult because obviously we went with a reverse strategy at Cleveland. We're not in a position to do that now, but the guys just got us 3 spots in the pit stop, so we'll see if we can't gain some more.
There's a lot of racing yet to be run here today.
And I think the key component was they tried something different on Paul Tracy's car that worked, and here Oriol Servia, they tried to win a different direction, and it's not. In fact, you could see it while he was speaking that Oriol Servia got quite loose around 11 and 12.
Justin Wilson, meantime, has started to reel in race leader Will Power there in the Aussie Vineyards 5 car. That green and gold machine on the Bridgestone alternate Potenzas. If you'd like more Champ Car race action, subscribe to Race Director at the series website, champcar.ws. 6 different camera angles, live team radios, live telemetry, and more, all at your home computer. The website is champcar.ws. Go to Race Director. Power out in front. Wilson, the winner here a year ago, closing in. 8/10 back last time by. Might be less this time. Bourdais watching things from third. He's 2.5 seconds back at his teammate, Graham Rexall, in fourth, pretty quietly for the moment. Rexall, one of his best outings of the season, no question about it.
You can see that Will Power has all of his power to pass, as does Sebastian Bourdais, but that's not the issue right now. The issue is that if you run your middle stints of the race on the red sidewall tires, I think you'll be fast at first, but they don't have the same longevity. So maybe a very smart move by Justin Wilson and the CDW team to go with the blacks, because on a long run, you think it might be better.
Well, the R Sports team certainly has a handle on what it takes to work and do well here. Remember, Wilson won here a year ago, as we pointed out, his only win of 06. There's Bourdais, won here in 2005, second a year ago behind Wilson. 3 wins so far in 2007 for the 3-time series champion. Wilson on the blacks, he saves a set of reds probably for late in the race too, Jan, which certainly would be an advantage.
Let's watch to see. He also rolled up his gloves. That's a new fashion technique for this weekend, but again, it's because it's really physically demanding and warm. And look at how he's cutting down that lap time. At least he did on 43. Something went wrong on lap 44.
Yeah, Power may have seen that Wilson was getting a little closer in the mirrors, decided to pick it up just a little bit. Now a second, the gap between the top 2 cars. And there you see Wilson with those Puma gloves rolled up a little bit, get a little air up inside the arms of that uniform.
And he also has molded steering wheel, specifically molded to those gloves, because there's lots of kickback on this particular racetrack.
And you mentioned no power steering. I mean, these are cars that are difficult physically to drive, no question about it. A lot of grip, a lot of downforce.
Wow, and look at that, big time correction. But what I'm talking about here, look just above the glove there, that is a molded thing, almost like a ski boot. They put this two-part rubber that you squeeze your hands into, and it's molded so you get a super grip of the steering wheel.
Is this one of those carbon fiber wheels?
Yes, it is.
Take a look as we funnel the leaders down the front straightaway here. Big, wide runway at City Center Airport in Edmonton. There's Wilson in second, trying to chase down two-time winner this year, Will Power. CDW telemetry as we watch the 9 car.
You mentioned that carbon fiber steering wheel. It actually came from Will Power. Will Power's friend, who has a composite shop in Toowoomba, Australia, which is where Will Power is from, built them. Cost him about $10,000 a piece to build, but he sold it to Justin Wilson, Paul Tracy, and Tagliani for only $2,000 a pop.
At cost, dealer cost.
Yeah, dealer cost.
There you go. Hey, the points battle definitely hot in Champ Car in 2007. Sebastian Bourdais, Will Power, Robert Dornbos separated by just a couple of points. Next week, we head to Silicon Valley on the streets of San Jose. Champ Car World Series will continue on ESPN2 next Sunday, July 29th, 6 Eastern. The San Jose Grand Prix presented by Redback Networks. Jan and I will have the call. More information at ESPN.com. Power is out in front. 45 laps are complete. Leaders should be getting close to another pit stop. Wilson and Bourdais tried to chase him down. We'll see if they are able to take advantage on pit road when we come back. ESPN's coverage of the Champ Car World Series, the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton, being brought to you today by CDW, the right technology right away, and by Rexall, a pharmacy first. 50 laps are on the board. Justin Wilson took the lead. He stayed out 1 lap longer than Will Power, who's already pitted. Sebastian Bourdais stays on the racetrack. Here's Wilson to pit road.
Wilson is in. He'll be changing over to another set of primary Bridgestones, getting fuel into the car. And remember, pit strategy so important today. We saw a lead change on the last round of pit stops, and he's away.
And Bill, I think significantly, they waited to take all the fuel. So he's not going to try and short fill here. He wants to go for another long run on the blacks.
Just coming into turn 1.
So Bourdais and his teammate Rexall go 1 lap further at least. And neither driver has used any Cosworth power to pass. Robert Dornbos, the points leader. The Ozjet 14, the winner at Mont Tremblant is in. And out. Bridgestone Blacks, the conventional Potenzas on the 14 car.
And the most noteworthy was that Will Power, who was leading.
Bourdais not pitting this time either, Jan. 2 laps further than Wilson.
Will Power comes in first. Wilson goes an extra lap. Now, here's Graham Rexall.
Rexall was second, Rick DeBrule.
Indeed, actually this works well into the strategy for the team. They get Rexall in, they go ahead and make the change on his car, and hopefully they get him out before the situation. Rexall clean stop, and he's back out.
Speedy Dan Clark, meantime, in the Muirman's Ticketmaster 4 car is just getting ready to say, boy, he's did a nice job here today. He goes way off, plows up a lot of turf here, but gets back up on the racetrack.
Did do a nice job at keeping it running so we can keep these hot pit stops going, because this is the kind of thing where Bourdais really earned his money here, but now he has to get back to the pits quickly. He doesn't want to get held up by Tagliani.
Tagliani may have run that car a little low on fuel. He had a slow approach to pit road a few moments ago. Here comes the race leader.
Look for Normie, right on the mark now, Seb.
Rick DeBrule is there.
They were on the radio to him beforehand saying, come make 1 really killer lap before you get in here. In terms of adjustments, all they've done is change some tire pressure. Everything else is solid. He's on his way.
3 times a champion, 3 times a winner this season, but with a couple of uncharacteristic DNFs. Bourdais back on the racetrack.
Brendan Cleve there, who changes for Will Power, watching to see. And he's pushing coming off of the pits. But you would think this has got to work in Bourdais' favor. Anytime you can go longer on fuel, it's definitely going to pay big dividends. Wow. To save 2 extra laps versus Will Power, that's significant.
And he's now, of course, on the Bridgestone Blacks, the regular Potenzas, a little bit harder compound. He's got all of his Cosworth power to pass time in the bank. Let's reset for you. Bourdais is the race leader. Justin Wilson not able to go as far. 11 seconds is the gap now after the round of pit stops. Get on board the CDW9 with Justin Wilson. Graham Rexall in the Metazone car, one of his best outings in a while. Rexall third. Remember how badly he struggled at Toronto 2 weeks ago. Told us basically the car was virtually undrivable for him. Ended up wrecking that car, knocking the nose off it a couple of times. Ended up deep in the final order of finish. But the Metazone team doing a great job. And the 18-year-old, Bobby's son, third right now. Will Power back to fourth after stopping a couple of laps earlier than Bourdais. Pagenaud, Tracy, Junqueira, and Serbia the top 8. Michelle.
Mario, you stepped in for Tristan Gommendy. You're out early. Tell me what happened out there.
Honestly, don't know. Something blew up, but it was definitely not the engine. Could have been the gearbox, but the car was still working fine. It's, you know, at this point, it's better to park it. You got all the smoke. You don't want to ruin anybody's race out there. But it's really too bad. The pay-by-touch car was running well. I was doing my best to do a good job for the whole PKB team, you know, for Kevin Kalkoven, Jimmy Vassar, Mark Johnson, and all the guys that worked really hard. And you know, it's not the way I wanted it, but at least I got to race. It's a good opportunity for me, and I did the best I could.
Well, we may see you again then in San Jose. Let's get over to Rick DeBrule.
Indeed, with another driver out of the race. Unfortunately, it's such a great Atlantic race here 2 years ago when you won, and too much frustration this week.
This weekend has been a disaster for us. You know, we've had something wrong all weekend. We think that it's just finally given up now. You know, it gave up around the back. I was stuck in gear. We think it's diff related because it's actually been quite dangerous. It stuck me in the wall twice this weekend, and it's got this like snap, and then it will go. So I don't know. We'll have a look at it, decide what's broken, and we'll be back again in San Jose. But I'll tell you what, it's really starting to get a bit wearing.
You can only hope at this point that you've used up all the bad luck, and it can only get better from here.
It can only get better from here. You know, my crew have done such a fantastic job after putting it back together after it did it to me yesterday. You know, they're working so hard, bless them, and I'm working hard, and it's got to come together one of these days.
All right, Kathleen Legge out of the race.
Fourth time this year that the driver of car number 11, the Sonny's Barbecue entry, has gone to a DNF result here in the Champ Car World Series. Information, highlights, and more of the Champ Car World Series available to you now if you own one of the new Apple iPhones. There's a special website showcasing the latest videos from the Champ Car World Series, previews, recaps, driver interviews, short video clips of the latest events. If you have an iPhone, go to www.ccws2.com/i. Site will be updated regularly with the best video from the Champ Car World Series, so you can watch on the go on your iPhone. Will Power in car number 5. Twice a winner this year. We're on board the Aussie Vineyards machine. He led laps earlier, but he's back in fourth right now after having to pit early. Points battle really intense, though, between Power, Robert Dornbos, Sebastian Bourdais. Next week, we're in Silicon Valley at the streets of San Jose. Champ Car World Series, our coverage continues on ESPN2 Sunday, the 29th, 6 Eastern. It's the San Jose Grand Prix presented by Redback Networks. More information from ESPN.com. Bourdais' lead over Justin Wilson now just 4.3 seconds. Wilson's been on the button. Rexall's third, Power in fourth. We'll be right back in Edmonton. A lot going on here in Edmonton Thursday morning. How about a little go-karting? Simone Pagenaud, Justin Wilson. Boy, does he have trouble. It's hard enough for him to get in the race car at 6'4". He needed the extended wheelbase version of that number 27 go-kart here in Edmonton. Got some good fun, though. Wearing his Champ Car helmet. Flags being displayed. A treat for the fans who are on hand with Simone Pagenaud and Justin Wilson. We got a chance to go go-karting. To see more, including Simone Pagenaud interviewing Justin on his strategy, and Will Power's true feelings about Justin Wilson. Check the series website, www.champcar.ws. Wilson in the CDW9 car, second, the winner here a year ago, 4.8 seconds behind Sebastian Bourdais. Working lap 59, 41 minutes to go, 41:50 to go. So we've got time for about, let's call it 35, 36 laps of racing if we stay green. Only one short caution period so far today for some debris on the backside of the racetrack.
Meaning that it'll be a 3-stop race, so we still have some potential pit strategy, or at least fuel saving strategy. And boy, what a difference it makes if you can manage to go a couple extra laps. That just propelled Sebastian Bourdais, as well as some others like Justin Wilson, right up to the front.
Graham Rexall, Bourdais' teammate, also on that fuel economy run. 7.9 seconds back, but he is a strong third, perhaps lining up for what would be the second podium. Bill Stevens.
Down here with Phil Howard of our Sports. Phil, it looks like everybody is playing the fuel economy game. If that's what you're doing, how long can you do that before you're really going to have to hit that button?
We can do it for a little while. We're running pretty good at the moment. He's doing a really good job on fuel. The CDW car is really handling well, so we're pretty happy.
You think this is going to come down to that last pit stop?
Yeah, probably.
I saw the color drain out of his face. We'll keep an eye on it.
So Justin Wilson in second spot. Will Power back in fourth. Power led a lot of laps earlier, but Bourdais takes advantage off that pit stop, goes further on fuel, and has powered to the lead. 5.5 seconds now, stretching it over Wilson. You just heard from Phil Howard, still in fuel economy mode on the Bridgestone Blacks, the Brack Potenzas. Good battle a little further back. Paul Tracy, Bruno Junqueira, they've been going at it. Good run for PT, his best really since his win at Cleveland. Of course, struggled the last 2 rounds.
Pick it up if you're able.
And pick it up if you're able from Neil Mickelwright that's not a fuel command. That is, come on, let's see if we can get a little quicker lap time, because he knows he's getting some pressure from behind. And I guarantee you that Paul Tracy doesn't leave anything in the bag. If there's more speed to be had, he is a guy who will always push it to the limit, and we saw this weekend when the car wasn't right, he still tried to push it to the limit and had a couple of big offs.
Oh, locks up the brakes just a little bit there into turn 10, that left-hander. Tracy gets his elbows up as well as anybody in the game. Of course, his race at Toronto 2 weeks ago in front of his hometown fans didn't even last a lap. He had that wing caught under the nose of the 3 car, got into the outside wall on the backside of that racetrack, and ended up triggering a huge wreck. Tristan Gommendy, his health certainly not helped there.
There are 40 laps to go.
Oh, and big lockup for Paul Tracy.
Now, we've seen that happen before with the 3 car. We've seen other cases with him where we've noticed that being an issue. Hopefully it will not be today. PT in that black helmet this season.
I can tell you, the team was on the radio to him a little bit earlier telling Paul, get as close as you can to the car ahead of you without hitting him.
Well, at the moment, he's got the reverse problem, Rick, because he's got lots and lots of pressure from behind.
But he's had some issues this weekend. When he was going out during practice, there was a problem where he just got a little problem getting into the back of Justin Wilson. So the idea being push, 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 but don't push too much.
You can see that he still has plenty of power to pass, but he's got a bigger issue right now, and that is that the car's starting to step out. He's starting to lose some overall grip, and when you start seeing him lighten up those front tires on the brakes, it means the car's starting to get out of balance.
Carry
that right front. Move your bias rearward if you need to.
Now, moving the bias rearward means that there is a knob inside the car that you can move the brake bias from the front to the rear. So if you start to lock up the fronts, you start to crank it back towards the rear. But Paul Tracy's problem earlier this weekend is the back of the car would just snap on him with no warning. And if you go too far to the rear brake, that is the ramification. So he's got to be careful.
Tracy in 6th. Remember, he started 14th there today.
You're doing a good job, buddy. Good job. Junqueira's staying with you. So we'll keep an eye on him, but just keep...
Neil Mickelwright warning Tracy he's got some heat from behind from Bruno. Now's your chance to choose some of the best Champ Car moments in the last 12 months. The San Jose Grand Prix is up next weekend. Presented this year by Redback Networks. They're holding the Champ Car Mid-Season Fan Favorite Awards at the Drivers' Party Friday night, the 27th. Categories include Best Crash, Best Pass, and the Most Interesting Confrontation. You can vote for your favorite moment in Champ Car. The website is sjgp.com. You'll see the icon there. Be sure to go on the website and vote for the Champ Car Mid-Season Fan Favorite Awards. With Jan Beekes, I'm Rick Benjamin, watching Paul Tracy try to hold off Bruno Junqueira.
is pretty much matching you lap for lap. It doesn't seem like he's got anything to...
This is for 6th position. Race lead in the hands of Sebastian Bourdais. A little further back. Watching the car of Robert Dornbos, trying to track down Neil Johnny. This is for 9th position. There is Alex Tagliani in the Walmart Tide entry. Tag in the 8 car back in 15th spot right now. Let's get on board here with Dornbos. Have a look back at Johnny. Actually, Oriol Serbia should be back there.
And you can learn something about what the car's doing by how it comes off of the corners. And this next one, we'll hear how he puts the power down. Seems relatively good here, but he's got 2 corners coming up to where traction's a real problem.
It's Dan Clark, his teammate, who's putting pressure right now on there. And Junqueira just gets by. Tracy may put the slide job on him, though, coming out of 1. Tracy gave up the spot to Bruno. Bruno pushed too hard into the corner and opened the door for PD to come right back, and now the gap's even bigger.
Well, when you lose momentum, it takes a while to regain that, and he overshot. That is the one thing. It's such a tendency. You get in there, you know you have to be aggressive to take the position, but if you overshoot...
Okay, you have 50 seconds of push to pass remaining. 50 seconds of push to pass remaining.
One more look. Here's the pass.
There's the power to pass, and that was a case where Bruno had used his power to pass, got on the brakes just a little too late, and here he's thinking, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I finally got myself in a perfect spot, slips wide just outside of the groove, and there's a perfect example. You can see where it's rubbered in and where it's not. You get outside of that, it's really slick.
So that hands sixth back to PT, the Cleveland winner. Show you the lap speeds last time around, working lap 66 today, 35 minutes of racing to go. Bruno starting to draw close once again. I think PT may be holding up Junqueira a little bit.
Oh, yes.
Okay, let's get back into our groove. We need to pick it up.
But it's not PT holding back. It's in his car. He's struggling with the car, and he's just trying to, he's getting coached by Neil Nickelwright the whole way, trying to get the most out of it, but it has somewhat definitely gotten out of balance.
Running order top of your screen as the laps wind down with intervals. Bourdais 8.8 seconds in front of Wilson at the head of the field. Rexall, Power, and Pagenaud next in line. The Team Australia boys 4th and 5th. In great shape, of course, for the Canadian Triple Crown. Tracy and Junqueira here contesting 6th. Tonight, final round coverage of the NHRA Powerade Drag Racing Series. The Shucks Nationals. John Force trying to make that midseason rally and funny car. Shucks Auto Supply Nationals. Our coverage of the finals tonight at 7 Eastern. Powerade Series NHRA in Seattle for the second race of their critical Western Swing. Hope you can join us on ESPN2 for our coverage. Bruno has moved to 6th, Tracy to 5th, Will Power heading to pit road. Power getting fuel in his car, the Aussie Vineyards machine, putting a new set of Bridgestones on as well.
And Rick, they just reported over the radio that Will was having a problem with the brakes. It sounded like his foot was stuck to the brake pedal. He's having a problem manipulating the brakes. So that's something that they're looking at right now. You can see that they're pulling off the front cover on the race car to get down underneath there. But there's obviously a problem right now with the brake system on the car.
And they've shut the car off. We heard the engine go quiet. Will Power in the top 3 in points, leader earlier.
And look at Brendan Cleve. He's looking through the hole that gets down to the pedals to try and see. They're looking at the brake ducts, checking each of the suspension components. But they've taken the shock cover off, and right down in there, and he's having him turn the steering wheel back and forth. It appears as though something is interfering with the steering rack inside the actual cockpit itself. What a great view from Brendan Cleve.
Team members shouting instructions back and forth, trying to figure out what's wrong. Power led early, 4th when he came to pit road. 2 wins, won 2 weeks ago at Toronto. Very much in the championship fight, a point out of the lead coming in. His day takes a decided turn for the worst. PT's in the top 5, and we're under yellow. We are back in Edmonton. A lot has happened in the last couple of moments. Let's catch you up. We're under caution for the second time today because of an incident going down into turn 1. The championship leader, Robert Dornbos, in car number 14. He and Alex Tagliani get together, Jan.
Alex Tagliani dives to the inside of turn number 1, but Dornbos turns in to try and stay onto the groove. And look, the suspension already broken there. What a wild ride for Alex Tagliani. But no contact, but a stall for Dornbos.
Dornbos didn't hit the wall. There was contact between the cars. Enough to turn the Muirman's 14 around. He stalled it, and that brought out the caution. Now, Tagliani, it looked as though he must have broken something in the left front corner of that car.
Take it easy. He's got to take it easy because it was definitely broken.
Rick DeBrule.
Boy, how everything can change so quickly for Sebastian Bourdais. He was having to push, having to work hard. Suddenly, his 2 main competitors are out. They come in, they make a relatively short stop, and he's back out. Bill?
Oh, they have got to get this pit stop right down here on Justin Wilson's car. They have made the tire change, put all the fuel into the car they can, and he's away.
Yeah, but Sebastian Bourdais got by him. Simone Pagenaud getting his service. This will be everyone's final pit stop.
28:40 to go on the clock. That's time for enough, maybe 25 laps, so you should be okay here if you get a full fuel load. Bridgestone Blacks on board the 5 car. The Aussie Vineyards machine of Will Power. 2 wins, second in the championship, but now 2 laps down because of that mechanical issue. Jan, you said it was steering rack and not brakes for Power.
Well, the understanding we got from the pits, and Bill Stevens was sniffing that out, was that he thought that something around the brakes was interfering with the steering rack. So they worked and worked, but they sent him back out. Obviously found whatever was keeping Will Power from able to turning that steering wheel. Well, that's got to be scary. If it involves brakes and steering, that's about the worst combination you can ask for.
So let's reset where we are. Working lap number 71 here today. On board with Justin Wilson. He'll restart second right behind Bourdais. Last pit stop cycle now for the leaders. So if Wilson's going to have anything here for Sebastian Bourdais, be the time to show it. Alex Tagliani did break something on the front of the 8 car, the Tide Walmart entry. Looks like he is done for the day. Let's take you back. Mazda's in motion. The Champ Car Atlantic Championship powered by Mazda. 2 races here this weekend. A doubleheader sweep for Rafael Matos, the championship leader in that 6 car. Got by his teammate James Hinchcliffe on the start of the Saturday round, and Matos was the dominant player. He takes a giant step toward the $2 million Atlantic Championship this weekend. He won race 1 yesterday. Earlier today, round number 2, Frank Pereira on the white car, second in the title fight. Great move to the inside to try to get by Matos on the start. Atlantic Series officials called a block on Matos. They put Pereira out in front. Pereira led all the way till the final lap, and he had a problem. Looked like he might have run the car light on fuel. Matos got by. Pereira came back at him. Didn't have anything for him. Matos ended up sweeping the doubleheader here at Edmonton. So Rafael Matos has now won 6 of the first 10 races of the season. 40 points, his lead in the Champ Car Atlantic Championship, powered by Mazda with Cooper tires. Bourdais will be the restart leader here at Edmonton. The Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton. We'll see if Wilson can catch him when we come back.
Live action.
Under caution, getting set for a restart here at the Rexall Champ Car Grand Prix of Edmonton, Rexall Speedway in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Beekes. Second caution of the day for an incident in turn 1. Alex Tagliani sporting that new Walmart Tide livery, but he's up on the wall. Tag has been supporting some key Canadian charities, this 3-race swing, the Victory Lap charity program benefiting the Children's Miracle Network. And after today, the program will have visited more than 100 Walmarts across Canada with special in-store promotions. Tide involved as well, raising funds for that very worthwhile cause, Children's Miracle Network. Bill Stevens.
Down here with the disappointed Alex Tagliani, a sudden and unexpected way to end the race. Alex, what happened?
Oh, well, it started when we ran out of fuel on the first stint, and on the second stint, sorry. And after that, we were a lap down, and was trying to push really hard. The car was really good. I was trying to get ahead of Dornbos because he was slowing me down, and then we were going to stay out when everybody was going to pit and try to get our lap back. And they kind of shut the door on me in turn 1, and we got contact, so it was unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. We'll see you in a week.
So Alex Tagliani in the R Sports car, the 8 for Walmart and Tide. Looks like he's done for the day. Looked as though they were getting ready to try to fix the front end and get him back out for the last couple of dozen laps here, but doesn't look as though it'll happen that way. Bourdais, the restart leader in the 1, the McDonald's car. Wilson right behind him in the CDW9. Graham Rahall's 3rd. Simon Pagenaud is 4th. Now Will Power, who had led earlier, very much in the championship hunt. As we see some action here, Neil Johnny trying to pick up a couple of spots. Getting around Bruno Junqueira. Moved Johnny to 7th. Wilson up on the wheel, trying to track down Bourdais. Power lost 2 laps with that steering rack and brake problem. Will Power back shown in 14th position right now. Could end up costing Team Australia, the Aussie Vineyards bunch, the Canadian Triple Crown. We shall see. 21 minutes of racing to go, 21:45. Time for maybe 18 laps thereabouts as we wind things down here in Edmonton. The Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton at Rexall Speedway in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada on ESPN. Halfway point of the 2007 Champ Car World Series season, wrapping up the Canadian Triple Crown, something brand new in Champ Car this year after Mont Tremblant and Toronto. I'm Rick Benjamin with Jan Beekes. Rick DeBrule joining us today along with Michelle Beisner and Bill Stevens on pit road. And Bourdais has been a dominant player here once again. His teammate Graham Rahal 3rd. Gunning for another podium finish in his rookie Champ Car season in that Metazone car number 2.
And you saw just a whiff of smoke behind Graham Rahal's car as he went through the chicane. Remember, they just came in and filled up with fuel. They took 32 gallons of methanol. Makes the car much heavier at about 7 pounds a gallon. And they rub when they're heavy, and they have wood called Jabrock underneath the cars, and so they will smoke a little bit as they go across the bumps when they're heavy on fuel. But I think you made an excellent point. Team Australia now has all their hopes on Simon Pagenaud, who runs in fourth. If something happens to him, it opens the door for Newman Haas Lanigan in the Triple Crown.
Neil Johnny, meantime, has the whip out in that Red Bull Gulfstream PKV car. He's right behind the Index 7 there of Serbia as they fight for 6th position. Bruno Junqueira lurking in 8th. Jan Halen, haven't seen much of him yet today in the 34 car for Eric Bachelard's Conquest team, but Halen's done a very nice job today. In the Champ Car Grand Prix of Belgium Conquest entry, Halen in 9th. And here is Johnny fighting hard to get around Serbia. Johnny made a great move on the start of the race, moved himself up into the top 4, but gave up a lot of positions as we've worked through the day. At one point was back in 15th. Good pit work by the PKV bunch on pit road. They've gotten him up into the top 7.
The difference, however, is that he's used almost all of his power to pass.
Yeah, 3 seconds to go.
With 3 seconds to go, he's got his positions early, but he's in danger of losing them later.
Graham Rahal, meantime, 3rd in the Metazone machine. His best run of the year was at Houston when he finished 2nd after qualifying 6th. Rahal here qualified 4th, runs 3rd right now. So in his rookie Champ Car season, Rahal perhaps in line to bag his 2nd podium finish. 2nd spot belongs to the CDW 9 of Wilson. Rick DeBrule.
Well, down here at the Rahal pit with John Tazanakanis, the engineer, and Rahal's cruising around in 3rd place, but it hasn't been easy, right?
No, it hasn't. Just about that first yellow, we had some radio problems, so we haven't been able to talk to Graham for a good part of the race. So, I mean, we're just doing everything by hand signals and by the signboard, so we're getting by, and the guys have done a good job, and we're running 3rd, so, hopefully we'll be able to contest for the win here.
Now, at one point, he had the fastest lap, so the question is, does he have anything on Justin?
Well, there's still 20 minutes left to go in the race, so we'll just see what happens. I mean, he's really adapted to this track ever since we unloaded, and, we'll see, The kid's looking good right now, so we'll see what happens.
An optimistic TZ in the Graham Rahal pit.
And, of course, John Tazanakis has been around a long, long time with this particular team, and he knows what he's talking about. He has been there 25 years with Newman Haas, and he's seen lots of great drivers come and go, and they're now starting to find a setup that Graham Rahal likes, and he looks racy.
Just a young pup. 25 years, he's got the gold watch already. Now he can go racing. Had a chance earlier to talk to Graham Rahal this weekend. Michelle Beisner did, and he looked very relaxed, as though he was really, really comfortable here. Let's get more from pit road. Bill.
Down here with Will Power, a day that began with so much promise, Will, and just so many things gone wrong. What was the final straw that broke the camel's back?
Yeah, we said a steering rack, obviously a tooth or something in there broken. I just literally could not steer the car around right-handers. It was just bound right up, so, that just... It's a massive dent in the championship chase for sure. Sebastian's looking pretty good out there in the lead, so a really disappointing day.
And it's now up to your teammate, Simon Pagenaud, to try to keep that Triple Crown lead.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know where he's got to finish to get it, but hopefully we can get something out of this race if he finishes far enough up. But, very disappointing. Big kick in the guts for us after starting on pole. But, we'll come back.
All right, thanks a lot, Will.
Will Power out of the race after that steering rack issue. Tough break indeed. 5 top 4s coming in, but another half season to run for the driver who was 2nd in the championship coming in here today. Let's check you in on today's Mazda Virtual Pit Stop, where you try to make the right call. Today's question, which is your favorite type of Canadian Triple Crown circuit? Well, right now, Mont Tremblant, the leader in the clubhouse. That's choice B. 57% of you thought Mount Tremblant was the most challenging circuit these drivers faced, although the rain at Toronto certainly was a tough one for a lot of drivers. Anyway, you can get your vote in. Text to 55333. Vote A, B, or C. Each text entry costs 50 cents, available at most cell carriers. Toronto, Mont Tremblant, Edmonton, the 3 choices in our Mazda Virtual Pit Stop today. Working lap number 79, watching Graham Rahal in the Metazone 2 car, 3rd right now, 2.4 seconds behind his teammate Sebastian Bourdais. A 1-3 finish for Newman Haas Lanigan would certainly give them an opportunity here in the Canadian Triple Crown standings. Justin Wilson splitting the difference right now. Our Sports, they were in the hunt too at the top of the broadcast. They were 2nd coming in here, but with Alex Tagliani going behind the wall early, looks like right now he's being shown 14th. So Wilson carrying the water, so to speak, for our sports right now. Let's check in on that battle with the 7-car Royal Serbia and the Forsyth Index machines. He's in front of Neil Johnny there. Johnny running 7th right now. Serbia is 6th. 5th belongs to Serbia's teammate Paul Tracy. Best outing for PT since Cleveland. Remember that at Mont Tremblant, after the win at Cleveland, wrecked the car in morning warm-ups, ran the backup car, had motor problems there, and then 2 weeks ago at Toronto, got into the wall on lap number 1. Didn't even see the completion of one lap.
And look at that difference in Cosworth power to pass for Neil Johnny. Obviously, not much there, but that's what you have to do sometimes if you're out of sequence. And he was trying to play catch-up from the back.
Yeah.
He had trouble, stalled on a pit stop, and that's what you do. You use your power to pass to get in position, but now he'll be vulnerable for sure.
Down the straightaway to the final chicane, heading to the front straightaway, the main straightaway here at Edmonton. Great crowd on hand as always. 3rd time we've been here. Fans in this Western Canada city just love the Champ Car World Series, and we love coming here. It is a wonderful place where they roll out the red carpet. This is quite a battle here. Serbia, Johnny in that blue car, Junqueira in the white entry. They are 6th, 7th, and 8th as the laps wind down. 80 laps complete, 14:40 to go. Time for maybe a dozen more laps today. Johnny's got one more squirt on the Cosworth power to pass button in his bank as the laps wind down.
Guys, I'm not sure that Neil Johnny would have been able to make this kind of performance earlier in the year. He has gotten so much better at playing the economy game and conserving fuel and maintaining his speed. And even he admits that when he came into the series, that was his weak card. He had not ever been in that position before, and he has really come a long way in that department.
Good point.
Johnny drawing right up on the rear wing of the 7 car. Serbia in 6th position. Michelle, the PKV team's got to be pretty happy with Johnny's comeback run here.
That's what we're going to find out. Jimmy Vassar, owner of PKV, you've got to be pretty impressed with how Neil Johnny has been doing.
Yeah, we're really happy. He's made a lot of good passes. He's got a good dice going with Oriole right now. I think if he can get in front of him, he could probably catch up to Tracy, but he's only got 3 push to pass left, 3 seconds, and he's had to use some of that getting up to where he is, but I think he's had a great drive. It's unfortunate it's stalling there and falling to the back, but, you know, it's been really exciting watching him.
And, Michelle, it's worth saying when Jimmy says he has 3 seconds, it's not as if he presses it and then it turns off in 3 seconds. If you have 3 seconds, you get the full 8. It won't shut off on you prematurely. So if you can somehow just save 1 second on your power to pass, you get all 8. So he has a slight bonus.
I was going to say that Johnny may have learned his lesson pretty darn well to know that he's got one more shot. He can extend that time. There are drivers in the series who've really learned how to milk that. And Johnny may well have learned that lesson at the hand of the great veteran, the 96 champion, Jimmy Vassar, up on the pit card calling the shots for the 21 team. You can join Champ Car and all its sponsors. Support the Hole in the Wall Camp Lap Leaders Program. Make a donation for every lap led by your favorite driver. Log on to the series website, champcar.ws. Look for the Hole in the Wall Camp icon and make your donation now. Will Power, we saw him a moment ago behind the wall, done for the day early. Just his 2nd career DNF in his 2nd Champ Car season. Didn't finish at Milwaukee a year ago. Hole-in-the-wall lap leaders today. Bourdais led 52 laps, appears to be on his way to his 2nd win here at Edmonton in 3 visits by the series. Will Power led 28 laps today before that brake and steering rack problem. And, of course, Justin Wilson had that 1 lap in the lead. Wilson currently 2nd, 3 laps behind, or 3 seconds, I should say, behind Bourdais as we work on lap number 83. Points battle certainly tight coming in here between Bourdais, Will Power, Robert Dornbos. Next week, we're in San Jose, Silicon Valley, for the Champ Car World Series. The San Jose Grand Prix presented by Redback Networks. We're on ESPN2 next Sunday night, 6 Eastern. More information at ESPN.com. Can Justin Wilson get by Bourdais this year in Edmonton? The Champ Car World Series is in Edmonton, and this is the trophy that the Canadian Triple Crown winner will receive. It is an Inuit carving, natural stone, polished, beautiful piece of art, and it is the first Canadian Triple Crown trophy, a championship within a championship for the 3-race Canadian swing. Simone Pagenaud.
Just pushing, plus 1.5.
Running 4th now for the Aussie Vineyards Team Australia squad in his rookie year, and he's carrying the honor of that team as they try to lock down this title because his teammate Will Power, who led laps earlier, Power back in 15th out of the race. Now, unofficially, we're hearing that if Pagenaud finishes 5th or better, it will be Team Australia's trophy. Pagenaud right now is 4th, 86 laps on the board, working lap 87, 8.5 minutes to go. 8 or 9 laps of racing should remain here because the lap times have come down for the leaders under 1 minute if we go all green the rest of the way. Oriol Servia still holding off Bruno Junqueira. This is for 6th position. Now Bruno's been right there with Servia. Servia's still got 43 seconds of Cosworth Power to Pass time remaining. Bruno's got 34 remaining. Neil Johnny used up his final score to the Cosworth Power to Pass a few moments ago, but lost positions. He's back in 8th. Bruno got by him.
So Junqueira now putting the heavy pressure on Oriol Servia, and what a great weekend, both weekends really, if you consider Toronto, how well Bruno Junqueira ran.
Oriol, great job. 8 minutes remain.
They're going to coach Oriol to try and keep him on track, and quite frankly, it's going to take a mistake out of Oriol most likely for Junqueira to get by.
Meantime, a battle starting to develop for 2nd as we watch Bruno putting pressure on for 6th position. The CDW 9, Justin Wilson won here a year ago. Graham Rahal attacking. That's the light blue car, the Meta Zone 2 for the Newman Haas Lanigan team back there as we look off the rear deck lid of the CDW machine. Last time around, the gap was just about half a second. Wilson and Rahal. 88 laps go up on the board. Wilson's on the Power to Pass button right now.
The power not to be passed in that case.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a track that Graham Rahal is especially comfortable on. Last year, he ran in the Atlantics on this course, finished 2nd, and has made no bones about the fact that coming back here to Edmonton this year is really something that he's been looking forward to. He thrills at the speed of this track and also the fact that he's also had some success here in the past.
And Bill, pretty interesting that he does not seem to have any physical issues. I know he's 18 years old, but we heard Bruno Junqueira, who is about the fittest guy. I mean, he does triathlons and trains all the time, saying it's very, very difficult around here.
Hey, buddy, we've got to try and do a better job in turn 9, 13, and 14. That's where we're losing time.
So Neil Mickelright talking to Paul Tracy, actually coaching him on his split times to keep him up to speed.
PT, though, online for a top 5, perhaps. He is 5th right now in front of his teammate Servia. Let's go back downstairs.
Well, indeed, we're here with Phil Lepan, the team manager. Let's talk about Oriol Servia. On Friday, he thought they were kind of lost in this team, and now you guys look great.
We've made some improvements during the course of the weekend and this morning during warm-up, so car is not as great as we'd like it, but it's definitely better.
Enough to keep him to the end, that's the question.
Yeah, we'll be good to the end.
Perfect.
Well, I think he thought you meant, are you good to the end on fuel? I'm not sure.
Over 5 minutes left, just over 5 minutes. You're doing a great job. Just keep pushing.
If they're good to the end per position, because he's certainly getting quite a bit of heat from Junqueira. But I think it's a case where if he doesn't make a mistake, he should theoretically be able to hang on to it.
I think a 5th and 6th for the Forsyth Championship Racing Bunch would be a fantastic finish, considering where they were at the end of the day here yesterday. They were pulling both those cars apart. Talked to Oriol Servia. They were just scratching their heads. Thought there was a fuel pickup problem with the 7 car. Thought they'd gone the wrong direction completely in setup for both cars. They changed a lot, and obviously it worked out pretty well.
And sometimes you can't find the sweet spot unless you go the wrong direction. And thankfully, they had the engineering know-how to turn another way. But the problem was, we heard earlier that Oriol went one way, Tracy went another. And unfortunately, because they were 1 or 2 sessions behind, they didn't have a chance to collaborate and make it even better.
Watching Servia, the blue and white Forsyth Index machine, the red and white Sonny's car of Junqueira behind him as they run 6th and 7th, laps winding down. 90 complete, 4 minutes, 40 seconds of racing to go. Tracy up ahead in 5th. Pagenaud runs 4th. Top 3 are Bourdais by 4 seconds over Wilson. Graham Rahal 3rd. Now Wilson has pulled out to about 1.5 seconds on Rahal. Justin Wilson, who has struggled in that CDW car for our sports this year. Best finish of the season, 2nd at Portland. And he is on pace to notch another runner-up finish. He was 3rd, of course, at Toronto. Had a really rough go in the Steelback Grand Prix of Toronto a couple of weeks ago in the wet. Hit a bunch of cars, walls, tires, everything else, but did manage to bring home a 3rd place finish. 6th place battle. So you have the telemetry at the top of your screen. So we work on lap 92.
Just comparing some of the numbers, there'll be a little bit of a different delay between the 2 cars and the telemetry. I'll kind of pick a high number and a low number, and you get a good idea on the peaks and the valleys how close they're running.
Bourdais, Wilson, and Rexall pretty much running their own race here in the final couple of minutes, and Bourdais pretty much all by himself right now. So Sebastian Bourdais in position to perhaps retake the championship lead. Robert Dornbos, the leader, coming in a lap down in 11th after that tangle with Alex Tagliani. They got going again. Didn't damage the car so badly that Dornbos couldn't finish, but Dornbos and Power, who were 1 and 2 in the championship by a point. Dornbos 11th, Power out of the race 15th. This guy stands to benefit. Despite the couple of DNFs, the tables turn, it appears, here at Edmonton. And the 3-time champion and the McDonald's #1 for Newman Haas-Lanigan, Sebastian Bourdais, gunning for his 4th victory of the season. We'll check the Plantronics telemetry on the 1 car.
And if Paul Newman said we call him Rolex, I think he was right on the money there, because he has been tick-tock perfect today and didn't panic when they lost time during that pit stop, just saved some fuel, and man, has everything come Bourdais' way.
Adding to the lead each lap here at Edmonton.
Maybe they call him Rolex because he's also an expensive watch.
I wasn't going to say that, but it did cross my mind. About as expensive a timepiece as you could have.
But you know what? It's as expensive as racing is, that's a small component, and man, has he ever delivered for this team. And this is the midpoint of the season, and it's a turning point. And we talk about it's the only time that he hasn't had the championship lead since early in 2005. I think that's history now. I mean, it's a case where he's looking behind and saying, okay, this is where I'm more comfortable.
So Bourdais puts lap 93 on the board. He was on the power to pass button a moment ago. Still got 31 seconds in the bank.
The reason is, and you saw he even got loose, he was really pushing. But what are you doing? He's got a huge lead. He wants the extra bonus point for fastest lap. So that's why he's pushing so hard. You get a bonus point if you're the fastest lap anytime run during the race.
Justin Wilson had used a bit of it before as well, but to no avail. Wilson now 6 seconds back in second in the CDW 9. Graham Rexall runs third. There's Simone Pagenaud. For Team Australia, the Aussie Vineyard squad of Derek Walker and Craig Gore. Pagenaud runs fourth, and unofficially, if he can hang on to that, that should be enough to give Team Australia the Canadian Triple Crown Trophy. We showed you that Inuit carving that the winner will receive this first year of the Canadian Triple Crown. Pagenaud doing a nice job. You know, quietly, he was the Atlantic champion last year, Jan. Took the $2 million prize, brought it to Team Australia, where he had run in the Atlantic Series to Derek
Good job,
Walker.
Simon. 2 more laps. 2 more.
Earned the ride in Champ Car, and in my mind, he's doing just a phenomenal job. And I'm kind of unheralded, but he's been very smooth week in and week out.
Well, he's somewhat unheralded maybe in the press, but he's not unheralded here around the paddock. People understand that Simone Pagenaud, they're basically calling him the next Bourdais, and he turns out to be Sebastian Bourdais' protege, and boy, has he been delivering.
Well, unofficially, if Bourdais can close the deal here as he comes up on some slower traffic, reeling in there, I believe that's Ryan Dial, who runs in 12th position.
One more lap, Seb.
J.D. Wilbur from the flag stand, giving the drivers the single finger, 1 to go. Down into 1, there's the McDonald's car, Bourdais. A win by Bourdais should give him 193 points.
5.9 Wilson, bring it home, Seb.
And a comfortable lead. That is Alex Figge right in front of the 1 car.
And when they say you have 5.9 seconds, bring it home, that means don't try and pass Alex Figge. That's how you interpret that one. He doesn't need to.
Yeah.
He's already done his fastest lap. They told him to use power to pass, get an extra championship point. So what? Stay behind Alex Figge. Who cares if it's 5.9, 4.9, whatever. Don't take any chances. Kenny Seawick on the radio, very wise.
Couple of laps to go here at Rexall Speedway in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. The Rexall Champ Car Grand Prix of Edmonton, 8th race of 2007. And for the 4th time this season, Sebastian Bourdais, the 3-time defending series champion, is headed to the stripe. Bourdais, 2 for 3 in Edmonton. He is your winner today.
Congratulations, Sebastian. Congratulations, car 1, guys. Beautiful stops.
He is the winner of the Rexall Champ Car Grand Prix of Edmonton. Pagenaud on his way to 4th. That should be enough to lock up the Canadian Triple Crown for Aussie Vineyards and the Team Australia boys. Will Power fails to finish today in 15th, but Pagenaud gets 4th. Rexall 3rd, his best finish since his runner-up spot in Houston in the 3rd race of the season. Bourdais wins his 4th race of the year and reclaims the championship lead in the McDonald's car #1 for Newman Haas-Lanigan. Sebastian Bourdais is the winner. We'll be right back in Edmonton. ESPN's coverage of the Champ Car World Series, the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton. Being brought to you today by Mazda, always the soul of a sports car. By Rexall, a pharmacy first. And by Bridgestone, for drivers who want to get the most out of their cars, it's Bridgestone or nothing. In Victory Lane at Rexall Speedway in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. 4th time this season, 2nd time here, Bill Stevens for Sebastien Bourdais.
He is still in the car, Rick Benjamin, and I'm very anxious to speak with him. I know that there's going to be an emotional win for him because on the radio coming back, he was particularly pleased with the performance of his pit crew today and the strategy that they forged to get him this victory. Let me see if I can sneak in here. Sebastien, it was a great drive today, but I know you're particularly pleased with the performance of your pit crew and all the people on your team today.
Yeah, it's a great win. It's a great win. It's a great team effort. It was hard today. I mean, you know, it was the bubble in the pits with Catherine and everything. It wasn't automatic, but the McDonald's team was awesome, and the car was great, so we got it.
A few anxious moments at the beginning of the race, but it looked as if once you got up to speed, nobody was going to catch you today. How was your car?
Yeah, the car was really good. Like I said, the balance was, you know, spot on, and that's what won us the race, plus this great pit stop, obviously.
Another impressive win for the 3-time champion.
Bourdais happy. Looked as though he was pretty tired there, Jan, for a moment.
Oh, yeah, he's in great shape, but this is a place that'll really ring your bell as far as high G-forces, a couple places around the track, 4 or 5 corners, almost 3 Gs, and you're hanging on for dear life.
Well, the runner-up today, last year's winner, Michelle, Justin Wilson, ends up 2nd.
Justin Wilson, your 2nd podium in 2 races and your 2nd podium finish in Edmonton. Talk to me about it.
It was a long, tough race. You know, it seemed like Will had the pace early on, and we were struggling to keep up, but obviously it wasn't saving as much fuel as myself, and Sebastien went a couple further, so it was just trying to push as hard as we could. I got past him just before the pit stop, or I got past for a second, so it was a fun race, but that's all we had, so I'm just pleased, you know, to get another podium here at Edmonton. It's great fun, and you know, it's also good for CDW and all our partners.
Bourdais came in 3rd uncharacteristically. First time since early 05 he had not had the points lead in Champ Car. He was 3rd coming in today, but the dominant victory puts him 19, make it 21 ahead of Robert Dornbos now. Dornbos was the leader starting the day, but Dornbos ends up 11th. In the Ozjet car, he is 2nd in the championship. Power fails to finish. He gets credit for 15th with that steering rack issue. Power 3rd, but Justin Wilson right behind him now. Let's check in more downstairs to find out more of the stories that have happened here today in Edmonton to Rick DeBrule.
Well, indeed, we have the team that has won the Canadian Triple Crown. There you see Simon Pagenaud, who was able to bring the car home. He had to finish 5th or better. Indeed, he's finished 4th, and as a result, his team has been able to win the Triple Crown despite the fact that Will Power wasn't able to finish the race. And congratulations, Simon. A championship you probably didn't anticipate at the beginning of the year.
Well, yeah, of course. We just won the Triple Crown. Really proud for the Aussie team. You know, the team has been doing such a good job, and everybody has been working so hard, and the last 3 races we've been so consistent, so I'm just very happy for the team, for everyone. You know, they are very dedicated to what they do, and that's very enjoyable.
Unfortunate for Will, but at least you were able to bring it home where you had to.
I don't know what happened to it, honestly, but that's a shame. I think he would have had a very good result, but yeah, it's a good thing that I was able to bring it home, and I'm just glad for everyone, Aussie Vineyards and Derek Walker and Craig Gore, you know.
Simon Pagenaud brings home the Canadian Triple Crown.
Well, there's the reason for that Canadian Triple Crown win. Of 6 finishes, 5 of them were in the top 4. The only mark on that record, Power, who led laps today. But the problem with the brakes and the steering rack render him 15th. But it was enough, certainly done on average finish among the 6. And Power able to get that 15th. Pagenaud in the top 5. And that is enough to give Team Australia the Canadian Triple Crown title. Now, the all-important Roche-Franz Rookie of the Year standings. Plenty of prestige and a lot at stake. Robert Dornbos has been the dominant player. Dornbos with that 11th place finish today. But he maintains that lead. It's done, of course, in concert with the championship standings. Dornbos in the title fight, in the top 3 still, and he is the championship leader among the rookies for the Roche-Franz Rookie of the Year honors. Back to Rick DeBrule.
Well, back down here with the full team now. We obviously talked to Simone Pagenaud just a moment ago. Will Power, who got those important points early on. But Derek, let's talk about the fact that you got a championship here that once again probably hadn't planned on early on, but at least you got something under your belt already this year.
Yeah, we got two good results today. We've got Simon came in fourth, and we got the championship, Canadian championship. So yeah, glad we got something to come away with.
And while Will had a problem today, I mean, really, this is a championship based on consistency, and that's been so important for you guys.
Well, you've got to finish the race, that's for sure, and you've got to get as high up as possible, and it's going to be that way all throughout the season, so we've got to keep at it, but we're not over yet.
Got a long way to go, and obviously anxious to get there. Bill?
Standing by with third-place finisher Graham Rexall. You said you like the airports. You finished second last year in the Atlantics. A good run today for you.
Yeah, it was a solid run. Good performance. Actually, it was a tough race for me. Lost radio contact with the pits, so basically the whole time it was a bit of a guessing game. Obviously, you have the pit board, but during that final stop there, I was lucky I just followed the leaders in, and being one of the leaders, it made it a lot easier. So I was just happy. It's a good performance for the whole MetaZone team. I mean, to come off of Toronto where neither of the cars finished, to come here and be first and third, it's a pretty good performance.
Good finish. Nice going.
Thank you.
Graham Rexall happy certainly with that third-place finish here today, his best finish since Houston earlier in the season. Canadian Triple Crown final results. There's Team Australia at the top. Newman Haas Lanigan with that 1-3 run today. They come second in front of our sports. Team Minardi and Forsyth Championship Racing. And really, we need to give the Forsyth squad a call. Paul Tracy and Oriole Serbia end up 5th and 6th. After battling hard all weekend, they started back in the 7th row here today. Well, we hope you've enjoyed our coverage here from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, the Rexall Champ Car Grand Prix of Edmonton. A reminder, we're back with you on ESPN2 next Sunday, the 29th, 6 Eastern. We'll be out in Silicon Valley, the San Jose Grand Prix presented by Redback Networks. For Jan Beekes, Bill Stevens, Michelle Beisner, and Rick DeBrule, I'm Rick Benjamin. We appreciate you watching. We congratulate the winner of the Rexall Grand Prix of Edmonton, Sebastian Bourdais, picking up his 4th win of the season. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Thanks for joining us in Edmonton. We will see you next Sunday from San Jose. Up next, the 2007 World Series of Poker.